Well, hello everybody. It's been a little while since I've been on here, but I'm excited. I've been kind of working behind the scenes, trying to improve our testing, as well as improving our supplements and protocols, etc. So, what phase of digestive distress are you currently in? So, for those of you who know, I put a lot of heavy emphasis on gut health. Reason being is because I've been personally impacted by gut health, and I've seen a lot of my patients' lives completely transformed just by addressing that one organ system, that one spot, which is the digestive tract. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but we've been kind of throwing tests around. We were running Doctor's Data's panel. We've been running Vibrant panels. They're all phenomenal panels, but I think I found the cream of the crop, and this is kind of tried and tested, and it's true, and I love it. It's concise, and it gives you a lot of awesome information. So I'm going to go over a stool test that we got back. I blocked out all the names so that way you can't see whose test it is. But I will say that there are certain ways to be able to analyze these things to really truly get results whenever it comes to your overall health. So one of the things, or one of the topics that you're going to see me start to focus a lot on, is going to be stress and adrenal health. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm learning different things, and I'm learning that if we have constant chronic stress, it leads us to a state of being catabolic. And when we're catabolic, we're breaking things down. The biggest thing I can say, or the easiest thing to make you think about what is being catabolic, is when you're working out, you're going catabolic, and then you're going anabolic, and you're rebuilding. But if you're constantly stressed out, whether it's emotional stress, abusive stress, physical stress, you name it, those stresses can cause your adrenal glands to work in overdrive. And we have these acute phases, and we have these long-term chronic phases, which can cause this degenerative process to take place in our gut. And so if we're stressed all the time, it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was there a digestive issue, or was there an adrenal issue, a stress issue that ultimately caused the gut health to go downhill? So I'm going to go over this. I'm going to talk about the different phases that we're talking about, and then also what this test looks like. And if you want to reach out to get one of these done, the cool thing about this one too is there's potential, I can't guarantee it, but there's potential that your out-of-network insurance can actually cover the cost of the test, which is pretty cool. Nice perk. I know a lot of our stool tests in the past, there's no such thing as insurance compensation for it. But hey, if you can get a couple bucks back to figure out how to really truly take care of your health, why not, right? So let's dive right in here. So let's see, y'all. Okay, got to open system preferences real quick to be able to share my screen. Hopefully this will allow me to do it, because that would be a bummer if not. Okay, good. Share this little sucker. Good, good. Remind me later. Man, I updated this computer here, and it's been giving me fits. Okay. Okay, boom, boom. All right, this better work. Otherwise, this is just going to be an awkward conversation between a couple of us, and that's it. Hey, Carol, what's going on? Good to see that you're on here. Yeah. If I can get this thing to pop up here, this would be fantastic. But if I can't, let me see if I can add this over here. New scene, map. Good, good. Okay. Choose file. I'm gonna live again. I've been rocking out to Elevation Worship too. They have a new song, Dry Bones Rattling. It's a really awesome song. So if you haven't had a chance to look into that, you really should. It's a great song. I just watched it on YouTube. It's about 10 minutes long, the full version, but it's worth every second of it. Alright, so now I'm sweating here trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to get my screen to share this stuff. So, okay, so let's do camera, source, scene. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, this is such a pain in the butt. I apologize for this, guys. Okay, it's trying to let me do this. Jerry's there too. Hey, Jerry. Okay. Well, this is going to be a pain in the butt if I can't get this. The whole thing was to be able to show you what it is that I'm going to be going over. But let me see here. So 202, 406. Okay, let's do this. I got a shortcut here. Taking pictures left and right here. Boom. So I'll go over this. So basically what this test is going to show is it's going to show your overall pathogenic bacteria. So what does that mean? It's going to be the bacteria that are basically going to cause death and destruction in the body, more or less. But really, I mean, in the real sense of the word, it's the ones that aren't supposed to necessarily be in your gut. And if it is, then that's going to be a bad day for you. So I'm going to go into the desktop side of things. I'm going to pull out what I just did for my screenshots here. There we go. Awesome. See this. Perfect. So now you can see something on my screen here. Having fun watching you try to figure it out. Most of us have nowhere to be. Well, that's perfect, Gene. I appreciate that. All right, so this is page 1 over here. So this is the GI map test, and this is done through, for those of you who want to know, quantitative PCR testing, which means it is DNA testing. So doctors' data uses cultures. They grow it out. This actually tells you if you have the DNA proteins of these certain infections, and it is top-notch technology. It's phenomenal stuff. Let me go over this right here. So I'm still on the screen. All right, so this first page, like I said, this is going to be the pathogenic stuff. This is those things that, if you take a look here, you have things that can cause and trigger autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, all kinds of distress in the gut. So if we have any positives found on that, it would be listed under the results. And you'll see that there is an infection, a certain infection that is going to show itself on this test, and it's called H. pylori or Helicobacter pylori. And so no pathogens, no parasites over here. It also measures your viral load or any viruses that could potentially be in your gut. So that's the first one there. And then we have this guy right here, which is going to be round 2. So I'm going to delete that one over here. Round 2 is going to be the Helicobacter pylori. So this is a high level infection. So basically what this can be, there's different bodies of evidence and research and things on this, but as a whole, typically Helicobacter H. pylori can wreak havoc on the body. It can cause things like stomach cancer, gastric cancer, and the big thing that I see in practice is it causes chronic hypochlorhydria or chronic low stomach acid. So then what does that mean is you can have recurring infections, recurring food sensitivities. You're also not going to break down your proteins properly, so then you're going to lose muscle mass. You're going to have a hard time with protein biosynthesis. And that's going to be a tough spot, especially for a guy, because that's what this is, to be able to rebuild and repair the body. You're going to stay in that state of being catabolic. So we have a high level over here, which is measured on this side, and then it actually tests for different virulence factors. So virulence factors there's some really cool stuff actually with this, with the with the certain levels. This one in particular can go after the stomach, and again cause chronic stomach issues, stomach ulcers, and stomach cancer. So it's not necessarily the best one to have out of the group, but it is one of those ones that, again, it's phenomenal to have tested for, because you have to make sure you're going to go and get rid of it. So this right here is going to be deemed a phase 4 in actual gut problems, and I'll explain what phase 1 and phase 2 is. I'll get to that, but they're on separate pages. Going down below normal bacterial flora, we have the typical things that you want to see on here. Akkermansia mucinophilia, which is an awesome one here too. Akkermansia is one that can trigger things like ulcerative colitis and serious gut decay is what I like to call it. And then your phyla microbiota. So this is your microbiome. This is a measurement of different families. Phyla is a group of different bacteria in your gut, and when you have imbalanced ratios, it can be due to low stomach acid, but it can be due to imbalance in your good guys and bad guys in your gut. So then I pull up page number 3 on this test here, which is going to be this guy, and we're going to see high levels. So when we have these high levels over here, this is going to show us that we have a problem with certain bacterial overgrowths. So those bacterial overgrowths are going to cause the bacillus to overgrow, enterococcus to overgrow, staphylococcus, and streptococcus. So a lot of mouthy words there for an overall effect on the gut. And so what this can do, what this can trigger, is I have my little box pulled up on the side here. So I don't know if you guys can see that one or not. But when we have bacillus out of normal, what this can do is a common group of gram-positive bacteria for the Firmicutes phyla, but high levels may result from reduced digestive function, SIBO, or constipation. So it's one of those things where it can pop up if we have those different types of overgrowths taking place in the gut. The enterococcic side of things is going to be you have a high natural resistance to antibiotics and can be due to compromised gut health as well as constipation. Patient didn't report constipation, but again, it's one of those things that can happen. So then we have staphylococcus and streptococcus. So staphylococcus can cause toxins to cause loose stools and diarrhea to take place, And Streptococcus can be, again, a sign of intestinal inflammation, which you'll see a phenomenal number on the bottom of this test called zonulin, which basically tests to see if you have leaky gut. So it's just another one of those fun ones on a test here to see, hey, what do I have, how bad is it, and what can I do to correct it, right? Because that's ultimately what we want to do, is we want to correct these problems, and there are different phases to do so. So this would be a problem with phase 1, which is the microbiome. Coming down below, we have what would be a problem with phase 2. I'm sliding over here again. So phase 2, what we're seeing here is we have, if you had parasites, protozoa, or worms, anything like that, it would show up there. We have intestinal health markers. So this is the organ side of things. So this would be a phase 2 with complications. So steatocrit would be a measurement into how well you're breaking down fats. And if we had super high levels of that, that would mean we might potentially have a gallbladder issue and have an issue with breaking down fats. Elastase is a measurement into your pancreatic enzyme activity. Now, this person's at 366. We want them to be 500 and greater, and that shows that you have proper pancreatic sufficiency and you don't have any pancreatic problems. So this patient would do really well with some digestive enzymes in the pancreatic side of things. And when we have hypochlorhydria due to things like H. pylori, we want to make sure we're putting in a little bit of betaine to bring up our natural stomach acid to make sure we eliminate the infection, as well as make sure we break down these foods. Otherwise, again, we're leading to more infections and more food sensitivities. And then going down further, the immune response, so secretory IgA, if it goes too high or too low, is a measurement of what your immune system is doing down in your gut. Now, typically with having an H. pylori infection, this patient's secretory IgA should be really, really high. It's not. It's somewhere in between, so the immune system is doing what it's supposed to. It's not too high or too low, but we want to make sure we eliminate that infection so that way we have proper health. Anti-gliadin IgA is basically how do we do with wheat. So it's one of those ones where it's an 89. It's not the worst thing in the world, but wheat just in general isn't great for the gut, especially when we go down to that zonulin marker that's high. It tells us that this patient has leaky gut. And then calprotectin is an inflammatory marker that goes up when we have things like irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disease, and it's one of those things where we have the ability to be able to say, is it IBD or IBS? Going to take a minute to let that sit for a second. So, what do we have here? I'm bringing this down, trying to hide all these screens here. Last one. Awesome. And now you just have me. So, phase 1. What is a phase 1? So a problem with phase 1 is typically due to poor dietary habits. Either we're not getting enough fruits and veggies in, we're just eating, gluten all the time, we're stressed all the time, and what we're doing is we're slowly wearing away the bacteria, the good guys in our gut. And so if we just had a problem in that phase 1, this is where these people can really put down a really good foundation. We're putting in some good probiotics, good prebiotics, and some good fiber to allow for not only the probiotics to replenish, but also to grow and have a food source to do so. But really in that phase 1, we really want to do the lifestyle changes to make sure that you're getting what you need from your dietary intake, so that way you're, again, continuing to allow for proper probiotic growth. Phase 2 is when we have organ system issues. So, like we saw there, if we had intestinal issues, we have zonulin, so we have leaky gut going on. If we had pancreatic insufficiency, if we had gallbladder issues, those markers are going to be in phase 2, so we need to give some organ support to make sure those organs are functioning at 100%. And usually the phase 2 takes place after phase 1 has been abnormal for a while. And then lastly, we have phase 3, which is where we have pathogens. So whether it's bacterial overgrowth, bacterial infections, parasite infections, or H. pylori infection, which is another bacteria, those things are into phase 3. So what do? So in particular with H. pylori, it's one of those ones where, yes, we want to get that under control for sure, but we have to make sure we understand how that infection got there to begin with. Is there chronic stress? Is there history of antibiotic use? Is there history of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories? What's, again, the stress issue? All these things can cause these things to continue to rise and rise and rise until they express themselves into a problem. A lot of people have H. pylori and don't have any symptoms of H. pylori at all. So that's why it's great to do one of these tests just as a foundational standpoint to make sure, do I or do I not have this infection? And if you do, what can you do to fix it? So if anybody's looking to get like an actual test done, Again, I'll hang my hat that I don't have on my head on this test all day, every day. It is the best test that I have been able to come up with this far. It's one of the cheaper versions of the stool test, which is actually impressive. And again, if you have insurance, it could potentially cover it in an out-of-network sort of way. So from now on, you're going to be seeing a lot of these tests come through, and I hope that you'll know why. After I just went through that test, there's so much information that I can get that we can get somebody's gut back on track in anywhere from 6 to 9 months, depending on how bad the situation is, and also if you listen to me when we talk about lifestyle changes. So that being said, those are the 3 phases of gut dysfunction. If you don't know what phase you're in, you can still benefit from doing some probiotics, prebiotics, and fiber. It's basically going to be a way to supplement in your current lifestyle, but make sure you're getting some healthy foods in, get those veggies in, get your healthy beans in, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself while reducing stress. So that being said, I'm going to sign off because I have a beautiful wife and kid to get back to, but I appreciate everybody jumping on here. Gene, you're always awesome at jumping on. Carol, it was great for you and Jerry to jump on here too, and other Jerry, thanks for jumping on there as well. I'm eventually going to do the 3 phases of adrenal exhaustion as well. I'm actually in the process of working with a lab on that one too, and when that result comes back, you'll see me go through that and how overall stress and adrenal dysfunction can be one of the main culprits for not only just gut dysfunction, but anxiety, hormonal issues, low testosterone, low progesterone, infertility, poor sleep habits. There's so many things I'm going to be able to put together. I'm so excited to do so, and I'm just going to keep laying out this information. So if anybody's interested in this stuff or has any questions, I know I talked a million miles an hour. I'm just really excited about this test. But if you have any questions, you want to get it run, you're not sure if it's covered, whatever, reach out, direct message me on our Facebook group, or you always have access to us on email, just structuredchiro@gmail.com, or drjockmoser@gmail.com works as well. So that being said, the other thing, let's roll this out there too. I'm doing free virtual health evaluations. So new patient evaluations are free if you go to our website, drjockmoser.com. Hopefully you know how to spell my name. But a free health evaluation, basically say, hey, what are you coming in with, and what can I do to be able to prescribe a test to you, so that way we can get the information we need to make that impact on your health. So if you're interested in that, go to our website, drjockmoser.com, and go ahead and book your appointment to come in or go virtual, so that way we can get you all taken care of. That being said, have an awesome day. I'm going to try to enjoy this semi-warm, sunny weather. Thanks for being on.